Hi everyone, welcome to the orchid shelf here in beautiful Naples, southern Italy. Today I wanted to give you a small tour of all my orchids that are in bloom right now, instead of doing an individual orchid portrait, since there are more and more plants in bloom, and I just wanted to show you how beautiful it is to have a room where all of your orchids are rewarding you with all the fruits of your labor. Well, I'm deliberately starting without a bloom here. This is my Vanda Mimi Palma, which has been growing and growing and growing and growing, and it's bloomed for me half a year ago. But let's see whether we're gonna have another set of blooms this year. But right next to it, we find my gorgeous Phalaenopsis hybrid, a hybrid between Phalaenopsis Jahos Pink Girl and Manii Black. There are several hybrids out there. For example, the Phalaenopsis Bronze Maiden, which were also Phalaenopsis Manii Black, is a hybrid parent. And what this hybrid gets from that parent is this very unusual flower shape for a Phalaenopsis. Unusual in the sense that usually the Phalaenopsis blooms that you're more used to are the rounded petals and sepals, whereas with Manii crosses you have this less mainstream flower shape. It's so beautiful with all the red spotting and the yellow shading, and I really love looking at it. It's a very big and healthy plant with tons of roots that I got only recently from another orchid grower, and he's grown this plant so healthily that I'm now really nervous that I really want to keep it alive well and grow it well and make it grow a lot. So let's see how it goes, but I'm really happy about how healthy it is, and you see those root tips over here. This is my Phalaenopsis schilleriana, which has been working on this flower spike for quite a while. You may have seen a video of my Phalaenopsis schilleriana's first bloom from last year. Whereas this is the second bloom, and you can already see that this spike is much, much bigger. So I'm really pleased by that and really surprised compared to the size of the plant, because usually Phalaenopsis schilleriana tends to be also a bigger plant. But yeah, this is what it does. This is my Phalaenopsis Odorion that I got at a plant fair here in Naples last year in May, and it has an absolutely gorgeous scent. It's been growing very, very healthily for me, with lots and lots of root growth, very healthy and stable. You see that compared to the lower leaves, the upper leaves are already a bit bigger. They look quite sturdy because my Phalaenopsis grow in a bit higher light, and that's when they tend to have a bit more, rounder and more compact leaves. I can't wait for all of the flowers to have opened, because then really the scent fills an entire room. The fragrance is very hard to describe for me. There are roses in it, there are herbs in it, it's such a beautiful floral fragrance, and you see in the bloom all of these beautiful shades of pink, and then the orange lip, and this beautiful cream yellow. Yeah, it's a delight to have. What surprises me about the bloom pattern of this orchid is that the flowers actually open quite slowly. So from the older parts of the flower spike, the flowers first open and then the new buds grow. And I didn't quite expect the flower spike to take such a long time for all the flowers to open. So I can't wait for all the flowers to be there finally. Now, let's proceed. In the back you see my very precious Paphiopedilum philippinense alba, which has been working on 2 flower spikes It doesn't bloom every year for me, usually every 2, because it has to grow, it has to bring new offshoots, new fans to maturity, but it's been a very reliable grower and bloomer on top of it, and the blooms are really stunning. I will do an individual video once it's time for it, but I actually really enjoy watching the flower spike as well because of the beauty of the buds. Here we have one of my newer orchids, which is a Phalaenopsis Timothy Christopher, I believe. Let me have a look. Was it Timothy Bell or was it Timothy Christopher crossed with Phalaenopsis bellina? And you can clearly see the shape of the flowers, which are just like its Phalaenopsis bellina parent, but the pink coloring is quite different from it. I'm really stunned by it, and the fragrance is just is as delicious as the bellina parent, so I can't wait for more flowers to be open, but I'm really enjoying the sight of it every day. Here we actually see something quite unexpected. So what happened was that on the Phalaenopsis equestris B100 hybrid that I did a video of last year, a tiny keiki started to grow, and this keiki actually started to develop 2 mini flower spikes, which I was really surprised by given the tiny size of the leaves. But yeah, I took off the keiki and I planted it in this mixture of bark and lava rocks down here and lots of sphagnum moss, and the roots were so long that I had to take this 9 centimeter pot. And since then it's been adapting rapidly, almost immediately, to this new growth environment, and I can't wait to see the tiny flowers. This is an orchid that I've already showed you in one of the videos, the cattleya, Crystelle Smith, Nathan's Reward. And what's really interesting this time is that you see what the color of the flower is when it's new. It's a very salmon colored shade with the sepals a bit darker in color, and the petals, have got these shading which is brighter towards the middle and the center, which is really beautiful. So over time this flower will change into a darker pink, whereas the yellow stays quite the same, and I really love the fact there are these red speckles on the lip as well. Right. Apart from that, we have a couple of plants in bloom. So my Phalaenopsis bronze maiden that I've already mentioned to you guys is now working on a flower spike, and in the back is actually the mother plant of this tiny little keiki that I just showed you, my Phalaenopsis equestris B100 hybrid, and I'm really happy to have both of them in such a healthy condition. Down here we have my Phalaenopsis, sorry, I've been talking so much about Phalaenopsis orchids that it's become a habit. Apologize. So this is my Prothechea, also known as Encyclia Tarantula hybrid. I have to do a bit more research on who the parents are, but the shape here is clearly has Prothechea cochleata as one of the hybrids. Cochleata is one of those Prothechea species with resupinate, so upside down flowers where the lip is pointing upwards, which gives the flower a really funny octopus-like or almost like a dancing lady-like shape. The lovely thing about this orchid is that once it produces a flowered spike, the blooms bloom continuously. So you see already, I don't know whether you see it over here, but the blooms, there were already some blooms that are faded, but then the spike keeps growing and blooming over a long time. The orchid is fairly new. I got it on Black Friday because there was a very good deal at Varesina Orchids in Italy. So I haven't had it for a long time, but it's been really delighting me with its blooms that faintly smell sometimes during the day of a jasmine scent, which has been quite pleasant. This is my Pinguicula hybrid that also has been in bloom for the past months, and the longer I have it, the blooms are getting ever so slightly bigger, and they're just so pretty. You know, my Pinguiculas do the double job of catching all those annoying fungus gnats, growing really nicely and juicily, and at the same time producing me these really fabulous flowers. And the last plant that I wanted to show you in bloom is my Rhynchostylis gigantea hybrid. So this is a hybrid between Rhynchostylis gigantea and Pteroceras semiteretifolium, which is a Vietnamese orchid that is lesser known, and it has this typical hanging grape-like flower spike that Rhynchostylis gigantea has, whereas the shape of the flower has been heavily influenced by the Pteroceras semiteretifolium parent, and the lip is still very reminiscent of Rhynchostylis gigantea flowers. I'm actually going to make an individual video on this plant because it's been surprisingly easy for me to grow it, and I think more people should have it. And it has this beautiful, beautiful sour tangerine scent, and that's why I think for everyone it's going to be worthwhile to have as maybe one of the first non-Phalaenopsis orchids to have. Yeah, because it's been surprisingly easy to grow it, and it's been such a joy. Well, that said, thank you so much for tuning in. I have a couple of other plants. Sorry, I don't know what's going on with my voice. I have a couple of other plants that are in bud and in bloom. Some of them are outside on the balcony, and some of them are on another shelf. But yeah, that's it for now. I think I'm going to tell you a bit more about it in the upcoming months, and maybe do some individual portraits of the plants. But until then, I wish you a wonderful upcoming springtime. Enjoy the rainy days and think of your plants that get all the water from the heavens. And yeah, see each other soon. Happy orchid growing.